small economy like Jamaica. Academic excellence is never just an individual endeavor. It's the collection of all of us that provide a platform for real change, real development, and real growth. I just want to take your attention a little bit more towards the whole concept of the value of science for Jamaica and the Caribbean. Science is often discussed in abstract terms. I was actually in a meeting earlier today. I didn't recognize that I was here today. Again, I heard this abstract notion of how science also plays a role, with no definitive context in which those discussions were being held. I listened very carefully, and I recognize that I will refine my speech a little bit more today, because I'm going to continue to carry this message about my personal belief in how science and the discipline that we all have achieved here are going to continue to be very decisive in terms of how we move the ticker in our country and our progress. And I'll take you through that in a moment. So first, science determines how we manage things that's obvious to what we just went through. Category 5 hurricane. So science must now manage how we identify the risk of climate change and how we address the issue of rising sea levels, what the implications are to our island and the region. Secondly, how can science, or how must science, impact our food security and reduce our reliance on imports? Third, how is science going to help us to address the challenges in public health care? Fourth, how can we use our limited resources and find a way to design a map that allows us to be sustainable and also be able to attract greater value potential? And finally, how can we compete in a global knowledge environment? One where internet, 5G, and the ability to understand how technology can create opportunities of growth, personal wealth, and development, and how the elements of science come together to make that impact a reality for our country. So let's look a little bit further ahead in terms of Jamaica and our Caribbean neighbors, where science is not going to be optional anymore. Absolutely not. It is an imperative. Where we are among regions that are vulnerable to climate change and extreme weather and environmental degradation, despite contributing the least to global emissions that we constantly read and hear about. At the same time, we're rich in biodiversity, creativity, and more importantly, all we hear that represent our human capital, perhaps our most valuable asset. And we see it presenting itself in so many different forms, even beyond the disciplines that we're here celebrating today. We as a nation must be able to capture that element of that human capital. So we have to see science as a bridge between vulnerability and resilience for the future. The other thing I want to raise is a point around science and technology in the context of how it's viewed. Unfortunately, primarily seen as something that takes place in the lab or in some closed corridor or room. Research has to be driven beyond that and understood to be real-world problem solving. So often science is seen as something that happens only in the restricted environments of universities or higher learning. But for developing countries, science must live where people live and solve those problems that prevent us from achieving our true potential as a country. So as I said before, I touched on it, science must address the issues of competitive, sustainable, renewable agriculture, water management, something that is becoming more and more important globally. We continue to see elements of pollution, impact of different negative impacts on the water table supply. We must also recognize that asset that we have, purity of air and water, is something that science has also recognized that we must put things in place in science and inform policy to protect this thing. Of course, science also plays a very important role in urban planning. Again, coming out of all events of climate action 3 months ago, we have to now build forward and understand that science is going to play a role in how resilience truly means our ability not just to withstand, but to recover from future shocks. Then there's manufacturing and innovation and entrepreneurship. Some of you will go on to work with formal entities, or businesses, or start your own business. All of those collectively need to be informed by the rigor and the discipline, the training that you receive over your time at university. So as honorees, your future role may place you specifically in government agencies. You have an opportunity to shape policy framework, or it may be in hospitals, could be in a startup, an NGO, or a regional institution. Wherever you go, your scientific training will equip you to bring real-world evidence, clarity, and long-term thinking into spaces that desperately need this type of function. So as we look at the developmental challenges, which are all real, hard, and complex, data is going to continue to be critical. But we can take that information any second, any industry, there's some some form of discipline that you have been trained in and you're now being recognized to be an honorary for today. So this means, how do we define problems in a meaningful way where we can articulate a pathway to solve them? In recent years, we've also seen another challenge, that of trust and public understanding. Fragility of public trust can be addressed in some cases by that of discipline of science. Especially during crises such as the pandemic a couple years ago, or natural disasters, we as a country will rely on the answers being given that are underpinned by science, technology, and the discipline behind our resolute approach to recovery. So, anyone with the types of degrees that you have must also be part of the communication process. It is a factor that needs to be part of how we build trust. That is not a function of views and perspectives or perception that is not anchored in reality that has capacity to be refined and evaluated against benchmarks and standards. So how we explain complex issues in plain language will be critical. How we engage communities with respect in understanding that not everybody has an appreciation for the technical jargon, but how we break it down in a simple form and build confidence and trust will all be part of what will be challenged to do going forward. So as we continue to move forward, there's also the other issue that I referenced earlier. The role in innovation, entrepreneurship, and opportunity. Again, I constantly remind others that again, science is going to be the driver of our ability to have economic opportunity. There's not a single sector that we can decide to pursue that will not need your skill set and your commitment to be part of our future. So what we're hoping to see in the future, and this is from the perspective of the development bank, is to see more science-based enterprises, more research and market pathways, and more innovation that creates jobs and scalable value. Your future will may involve entrepreneurship. It may involve actually turning research into commercial, valuable enterprises, whether it's a product or a service, but nevertheless a solution to an existing problem that brings also wealth to the table. I also believe that innovation that's rooted in science can help to reduce dependencies that we have, and also diversify our economy, and more importantly, to empower our young people, our future. And that's another reason why I'm here today. Because when I'm here, I'm looking at the future, and my responsibility and my team and other policymakers is to make a bridge to the future. other thing is your choices about your future. There may be thoughts around building your career here, based on opportunities, or you may be thinking of an opportunity to build it regionally or internationally. But whichever way you go, your contribution is not limited only by where you're physically domiciled. And through mentorship, collaboration, investment, or return, you can help to ensure that the disciplines that you have invested in are part of the investment in the future of our country. I also wanted to say another point as I was preparing my remarks, that science teaches us so many different lessons, even in the business world. I said about resilience. We go through a process about trying to produce an outcome. And the disciplines that go into that, and how you evaluate even risks by having very clear, articulated approaches to what is going to constitute a successful outcome. The essence of science is really based on those principles. So in a region that has been hit by all sorts of challenges, we cannot lose hope or sight of reality. Challenges will always exist, but the discipline to fight through and endeavor as a people, as a culture, emotional, trained, capable, competent thinkers is really where the answers lie. And that will contribute to our ability to adapt, learn from failure, and more importantly, build a more resilient, stronger systems in the future. So now I will just close my remarks and go into the final section, which is gratitude to the families and to the educators that are here. Parents, guardians, mentors, lecturers, all of you, thank you, because your support has created the conditions for this excellence that we're celebrating today. Your belief has sustained these honorees and many other students throughout the challenges that they did not anticipate and didn't believe that they should persevere through. And for that, I'd like to send you congratulations and share my own personal appreciation for producing these wonderful outcomes. So thank you. And to the honorees, rich from world that you just skills, as I said, your integrity, your imagination, to be able to serve people of today, to build solutions, not just your credentials, but to lead with evidence-based approaches and empathy. Science is one of the most powerful tools that Jamaican Caribbean can utilize to shape our resilience, our equity, and our prosperous future to achieve our full potential. So as we celebrate your excellence today, tomorrow, we must rely on your leadership and your commitment. And I have no doubt that I'll continue to see the efforts that you've achieved here translate into real success. So may your work strengthen communities, inform decisions, and help to build the future that this region deserves. We're all believing in you, counting on you, and absolutely confident that you will make the change that we've been earning or yearning for all these years. Thank you so much for your attention.
No, I don't know about you, but I got extremely excited during that speech. First and foremost, science is not optional. That's one. Two, it is not being optional, but a science to climate change, science enhancing food security, science making a better healthcare system, science towards using our limited resources to drive us towards sustainability, or science that is going to make us globally competitive. Science will be a driver towards economic success. I'm sorry, I'm holding a science degree and somebody who is tied, managing director of the development bank of Jamaica, is saying science is not optional. You are working towards something that will drive the future of this country. So I'd like you, if you want to give the applaud yourselves first, please. Please. graduate students and first class honors, Department of Mathematics.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of all the awardees, I would like to thank Dr. David Lowe for presenting such an inspiring speech regarding his definition of science and how we, as students and graduates of the Faculty of Science and Technology, to use the knowledge and skills that we have acquired while at the university to solve real-world problems as far as climate change, availability of resources like clean air and water, and as far as how can we bounce back from natural disasters. Please accept this token of our appreciation, and I pray that we'll use our knowledge and our skills to enter leadership roles which can help to better Jamaica and the globe. Thank you.
Now we move to the department, sir. Sure, everybody's sitting is to my right, to your left. Extremely happy to be here. We now reach the presentations of the awards.